Welcome to the Roasted Snow Horror Show,
where fear and dread go head to head.
Welcome to the show, where the screams collide, where blood runs cold, and the shadows hide. Each week a fight, two films will clash. Last week's champ, will it burn to ash? The Roasted Snow Horror Show, where fear and gore will always flow. One film wins, one must go. The Roasted Snow Horror Show. Lights go down, the fight begins. Which nightmare takes the final win? You pick your side, we'll break it down. The Roasted Snow, the goriest showdown.
and here are your hosts.
Chris and Ryan!
Welcome back to the Roasted Snow Horror Show. I'm already messing up the title. It has been a couple weeks, but it feels like it's been a lot longer. It's felt weird not doing this for a couple weeks because of vacations and whatnot. How the hell have you been? First of all, wait, before I get started, because we are talking, we're talking a banger tonight. We're talking Moana. We're talking Evil Dead Burn. So I had to pull out Savannah Bananas, but
Booyah!
unfortunately, we have a missing persons case in the Roasted Snow Horror Show. I cannot find my Savannah Banana hat anywhere.
What are you even doing with your life, dude? We had
a major cleanup of the house before our trip, and I thought for sure I knew where it was. So for the last half hour before recording this, I'm like, where the fuck is it? And then now I'm like, so I went to the anger part of grieving, and now I'm at the sadness part of grieving because it would have been perfect for this. So guys, just imagine. I know I'm wearing a camel.
Here's my question though: Do we have a the league situation going on where, just like the wife threw away the shirt that said "I shaved my balls for this"? Did Katie take your hat and accidentally throw it away?
No, because she doesn't even know the bit about it. She likes the Savannah Bananas. So I put more trust in her than that. But yeah. So stay tuned. Maybe the next banana movie, but it definitely would have been worthy for this one. But okay,
100%.
How you been the last couple of weeks?
Really good, man. I missed you. I missed doing this. Sunday nights would roll around in early weeks. I was just like, I want to talk to my buddy about some horror movies.
I'm gonna mess without you. I miss you so damn much. I miss being with you. I miss being near you. I miss your laugh. I miss your scent. I miss your musk. When this all gets sorted out, I think you and me should get an apartment together.
All we did was Chris sent me a screenshot that he was walking into Evil Dead Burn, and I was so scared for him. And I will give you props because I know, just knowing you, I know the moment you got out of that movie, you wanted to text the fuck out of me, and you didn't text me anything.
I didn't even say, dude, can't wait for you to watch this. No, I can't wait to talk about this. Nothing at all. Mostly because I was traumatized because this a-hole, as I'm sitting there in the theater waiting for it, and right as it's going dark, Ryan texts the word Conda. I'm just like, you why do you do this to me?
Well, because you did it to me, and then you did it last night when I saw this movie. So, but yeah, we were just talking a little bit about the roadmap here going forward. Obviously, July is a little light on horror. We were lucky to get Evil Dead Burn. I'm really bummed that we couldn't do this as a live podcast. That's 1,000% my fault. I felt like it would have been a good one to have right outside of the theater. Our reaction. I wasn't going to make you wait.
Yeah, we were trying to put it together last night, but timing and then all the things we got going on this week, still it made more sense to just watch separate and talk about it.
Yep, but this is luckily it's a movie that's not going to leave you for a while. So we're gonna talk all about it. But if you guys haven't gone back and checked out our Evil Dead episode, it's one of our earlier episodes. But I love doing that one.
That was a fun. We got 1, 2, 3, We had 5 movies to talk about that one throughout the series.
Yeah.
We didn't get into Ash vs. the Evil Dead, the show. So you guys, if you're a fan of the series and you've already watched that episode, check out Ash vs. Evil Dead for sure. But yeah, talking about those movies, those are again some of the ones that obviously I grew up on. I loved Evil Dead 2, Dead by Dawn, Army of Darkness, and then I've been I'm no stranger to telling you guys how much I enjoyed the reboot 2013, Evil Dead Rise a couple years ago, and now we have fantastic Evil Dead Burn to talk about tonight. So it's been being able to go watch this one again. I did prep for this one by watching the prior 2 before I went and walked in, because it is a continuation of what happens in Evil Dead Rise, which is exciting. But yeah, lots to talk about. Like Ryan said, go back and check out that episode. It was a banger. It was a lot of fun to do.
Yeah, and so I thought we'd start tonight with we'll just go through, prior to Evil Dead Burn, our rankings from 5 to 1, and kind of where if things have changed, great. I know that ours were slightly different, so I'll go my top 5. Coming in at number 5 is going to be something that's going to piss you off and probably piss off people listening, but I still don't understand why this is some people's favorite. It's actually a lot of people's favorite, but Evil Dead 2 comes in at number 5 for me.
Good. I don't understand you at all.
Because it has no I watched them for backstory, guys. I watched Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2 back to back. And I was so fucking confused for Evil Dead 2 because the backstory is like Sam Raimi lost the rights, so he wanted to do like a previously on Evil Dead.
It's Evil Dead 2 is essentially a remake of Evil Dead 1.
It's so dumb. I hate it. The movie itself is fine. It's just the continuation issues bothered me on that. Then I'm going Army of Darkness. That one, because it's not horror, it's just funny.
It's really not. It's kind of an action adventure horror kind of thing.
It's funny as shit, This is my boomstick.
It's infinitely quotable. That movie is the one that really, I think, made Bruce Campbell the Bruce Campbell that we know. The infinitely quotable lines, all of the things. Hey, sheepish, let's go. All that stuff.
Yep. And then coming in at number 3, right in the middle, is Evil Dead Rise. And it's tough because I feel like 3, 2, 1 could all go in a different order on any given day. 2 is going to be the OG Evil Dead. And then number 1 is the remake Evil Dead in 2013, I believe, because remakes suck and that one did not suck. It's like a tonal change. It probably should have just died at the theater, because on paper it's like, oh, you're taking this great franchise,
a cult classic. You're taking a cult classic and reinventing it. It's like that never works.
You're reinventing it totally, because like there is barely any humor in that movie. It's gross as fuck. It's scary. I fucking loved it. So that's my number 1. What about you? How much does this differ? I know Evil Dead 2 is not going to be your number 5.
No, it's not going to be my favorite. Incident. So I would say if from 5 to 1, and you guys will forgive me because if you are familiar with the other episode that we did that ranks all of them, my rankings for these movies will change depending on how I'm feeling. I will say, similar to yours, the top 2 can just easily interchange depending on what I'm feeling that day. But going all the way to number 5, I actually have the original Evil Dead as my number 5. I think I know, right? It's obviously the thing that kicked off the entire series. I believe it was 1980 or 1981. The movie shows it was a college project for Sam Raimi and his friends. Like that, it's a college made movie. They made it for a couple $1,000s, and it shows. But that's what makes it so fantastic. I've said a million times on this show, lower budget horror films, and we'll talk about this a little bit later. Lower budget horror films are the way to go. You can make it so scary, and you can make them profitable and successful. And Evil Dead obviously kicked off an entire franchise. So I have the OG at number 5. Number 4, I do have Evil Dead 2, Dead by Dawn.
Okay, it's still okay.
It's still down there because, and again, it has nothing to do with how much I like it, because I love the film. I've got it on. I have a really cool DVD copy of it where the DVD case is the actual Necronomicon. It feels like flesh, and you can press the eye and it screams at you. It's pretty cool. But
so you've read from it and you have it. That's weird.
Conda Strata.
Yeah, fuck that.
Evil Dead 2 is actually the first one that I saw. My buddy let me borrow it on VHS tape way back in like middle school. That's kind of where I fell in love with the whole thing. So it's number 4, not because I think it's a weak entry, but because of how much I like the other ones. Number 3 is Army of Darkness for me. So it's a little bit above the other two. Again, to your point, it's really not a horror movie. It's more of an action comedy and an adventure comedy. But it's one of those things that, again, you can tell the low budget, but it succeeds for that reason. It's almost like a parody and a satire of itself. You know what I mean? With all the goofiness and Bruce Campbell's goofiness, and again,
Hail to the King, baby.
Hail to the King, baby. It's almost similar to like a scary movie aspect, where it's like it's got all of the things that you want. It's got the comedy. There's scary parts in it. There's death and gore, and there's a big action scene at the end where they attack the castle. So I loved all that as a kid when I was younger. So Army of Darkness is number 3 for me. Now, top 2, obviously that leaves the remakes, right? So I don't, again, this is how am I feeling on the day? What have I watched most recently, right? So for number 2, I'm going to go with Evil Dead Rise. I think Evil Dead Rise is, again, the strength of these two and the strength of how they've come out of the gates bringing this franchise back. Because if you guys don't know, Army of Darkness, which is effectively Evil Dead 3, was 1992 or 93, I believe. And then the Evil Dead remake was 20 years later in 2013. So it's kind of been dead for 20 years. They brought it back. Our Evil Dead Rise is the second of the new trilogy, I guess what we're at now, of the remake films. But Evil Dead Rise is number 1. It's so scary. It is genuinely a scary film. The whole premise of it is great. All the actors in this film are great. The deaths are great. They do a lot with so little, because each Evil Dead film is like it's a singular location, right? It's the cabin in the woods. It's the apartment in this case in Evil Dead Rise. It's one small apartment. The whole film takes place within this thing, and they make it scary. I've never looked at Cheese Graters the same. I remember I told you to go watch it when we were getting ready for the prep, and yeah, the Cheese Graters it's a whole nother level, and we'll get into what they do in this one a little bit later too. But yeah, the Evil Dead Rise is number 2 for me. Fantastic ending to that one too, when the monster collects the other 2 kids, and it's just this abomination looking thing.
Marauder.
The Marauder. She her and the girl force it into the wood chipper. Fantastic death. And then, of course, for me, similar, Evil Dead 2013. It's just, Fede Alvarez resurrected this franchise. He took a cult classic movie it's campy and horror, and he turned it into something that is, to this day, genuinely something. It's hard to watch it at night. It is really scary. All the pieces of it work. The isolation, the claustrophobia, the evil, the terror, the paranormal. All of it works. It is genuinely one of the scariest films that we've seen, in the last 15, 20 years. So Evil Dead 2013 takes the cake for me as well.
And I believe that was, I can't remember if it was the number 1 on our best horror remake list, but it was definitely up there.
It was up there, sure, because it's just so good, you guys.
And it's not just good by association, because, so many remakes are crap. Oh, does this just looks better? It's the cheerleader effect. Does it look better because it's around, other projects? But no, it holds up and
on its own.
Old school Evil Dead fans and new school, they both love it. So
yes, it's everything you want. Everything.
Mm-hmm. Somebody had said that this is probably the most consistent franchise, and continuity issues aside, I would agree, because I have not seen one of these movies that I have disliked, been bored in, wonder why they made it, that, other than the first 15 minutes of Evil Dead 2. But it, I don't even know how to explain this one, because I took a bunch of notes, and I'm going to try and give you some spoiler-free ones here. This is the first movie that I can remember in a long time where I thought my AMC theater seat should have a seatbelt. I literally thought it should have a seatbelt.
I love that.
And I no joke, I looked at my watch, because I was like, okay, my heart rate's going on this one. Because it is nonstop start to finish. There is no lull.
It does. It's all gas, no brakes in this film.
I burned 178 calories sitting on my ass eating popcorn. And so if you want to work out, watch this movie. And even when I walked out of the theater, I walked out of the theater, I was pumped. Which we'll get into that. But I got home and I thought I was tired. I went to bed, I don't know, it was 10:30. I didn't get to sleep till probably 1:30. And it was
You're
just
thinking about it?
Even when I wasn't thinking about it, I think subconsciously I was, because my heart was still going, and I was just God damn, that was stressful. But that's why we do this. I would much rather have something like that than oh, it's another run of the mill, blah blah blah.
It's the love of horror, man, and to your point, right? This being, I think I texted you this. We were talking about this actually on the last episode before we took a break for a couple weeks while we were gone. I'm kind of getting to the point where I think, we all think of our favorite horror franchises, right? And we go back to Star Wars, your Scream for you, right? Sinister is a franchise. We got 2 movies in there. Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th. Those are all horror franchises. I'm really getting to the point where Evil Dead is probably my number 1 franchise, because each entry, particularly since 2013 with these remakes and the new story that they're trying to tell, is just so consistently good. The pieces that they're putting together, they work. The stories they're telling are fantastic. So, I mean, I really do need to say, I think Evil Dead is going to kind of be my number 1 franchise at this point.
Well, I don't think it'll ever overtake Scream or Saw for me, but it's definitely up there in top 3 or 4 franchises because they were able to revitalize it and you know what? Scream was successful on that until Scream 7. And not every franchise is able to do that. Saw 10 was fantastic. And
agreed.
Then they fucking killed it. I don't know. But anyway.
We're in a video game.
So we are, which all thoughts on that. But we'll get started on this. Spoiler free. Spoiler free is the way to be. I'm going out on a limb here. Pretty risky to say that you would recommend this movie.
Absolutely would recommend this movie.
Now,
for how strong, you guys know, I mean, we just went through how strong I feel about the franchise, right? I think I told you when we went and saw Scream 7 in February, I've been talking about this film since we saw Scream, since then, right? Since we got a firm release date, I've been talking about this movie as like, this is the one that I'm waiting for.
And we have a long running champion in Obsession. And that was the other thing you text me. You're just like this. Before the movie, you're like, just my gut feeling, this is going to give Obsession a run for its money. And it's like, all right, let's see if it did. Spoiler free. You probably do have to see, probably not all the Evil Dead movies, but at least
Rise for sure.
Rise for sure. And maybe if you don't have time to go back through and watch all the other ones, but but still want to see this movie, there's plenty of videos on YouTube that explain the Evil Dead franchise, the lore, what's different in them. It'll really help you out as a nice refresher for me before we did our Evil Dead episode. And so just search on YouTube, anything like that, and you will be able to catch up pretty quick and then just sit back and enjoy the ride, because there is a lot of lore, but I don't think it bogs it down at all. But anyway, each Evil Dead story has a different setting. Obviously we had the cabin in the woods, you said, which is their main setting. Then you said that it is a high rise in Evil Dead Rise. This one is primarily at it's not a cabin, it's a mansion. A dilapidated mansion. Yeah, it's left to one of the kids, and he is not taking care of it. And some of the movies in the snow, and you and I both love a good snowy horror movie, which is way different for this franchise. But basically, the story for this one is our main characters here. It's a family. It's we got brothers Joseph and Will, and then Will's wife Alice, and Joseph's girlfriend Thaya, I think is her name. And they
pretty actress. I don't know what the name of that actress was. Very, very attractive.
Yeah, even when she's all fucked up.
Yeah.
But we will get to that. Will gets in a unfortunate car accident and passes away. And so it basically turns into a weekend at the in-laws for Alice. And what you find out in the beginning of the movie is that Will and Joseph's grandfather was actually part of is it the Wise Men? Is that what they called it?
Yeah. So if you see Evil Dead Rise, that's kind of how it ties back into it, because they're not really a cult. They're more of like a sect. Because I think bad, when I think cult, I think evil and bad. These guys are a sect who are actually trying to keep the evil at bay.
They're the dude from The Mummy that has all the warriors that's protecting Imhotep's tube. Yeah. So Joseph has been writing a book about basically everything Evil Dead, the the Necronomicon, the Deadites, how to stop it. He's very obsessed with what his grandfather was working on, and you come to find out that there is the God, why am I spacing on it? The dagger. What is
the Kandarian dagger?
The Kandarian dagger. And that's the only way. That's the only way to kill Deadites. And you come to find out that obviously it's an Evil Dead movie, so it takes a departure because you don't have somebody sitting reading from the Book of the Dead, reading the passage that summons these demons. In this one, the demons are actually drawn to the dagger, which is somewhere in their family home. So they actually have a purpose in this movie to go and instead it still cause chaos, obviously, but they want to find something. So it takes a departure from that. And honestly, it's an Evil Dead movie. So, there's going to be a lot of death, a lot of carnage, a lot of Final Destination-esque lead up to some of these kills and misdirection.
A lot of gore,
a lot of blood, and Alice obviously is good. It's one thing these newer movies have done. Obviously, Evil Dead, the remake, dealt with a sister's drug addiction. She's going through the trauma for that. Evil Dead Rise, it's a single mother going through trauma and everything there. And then this one is Alice is the main character going through the trauma of losing her husband and dealing with in-laws that don't necessarily want her around and blame her for his death, which we will get into in the spoiler version. But yeah, other than that, I mean, you got to get the fuck out of here and go see it.
Please do. Please
don't walk. Run to the theater.
Run to the theater.
Just don't take a boat on a lake.
Yeah. And we're going to tell you, well, go see it, and then you're going to know exactly why.
Yep. Come back, listen to us ramble on about it. Without further ado, take us to the beginning and this rather familiar lake.
Indeed, we do. So, you mentioned at the beginning, the movie opens with Benjamin in the attic of the house, kind of doing his research. And what we find is when he finds, he kind of drops his notebook and he bends down and he notices there's like a wood panel behind the desk that he's working at. And he takes this wood panel off, and in there is it doesn't show you it quite yet, but it's a dagger, spoiler, it is the dagger, but it's wrapped up. It's completely, it's bound, right? It's hidden. And when he takes the dagger out and he opens it, it doesn't show you the dagger, but the revealing of the dagger, like you said, that's what kind of summons the evil back, because rather than, again, this is a continuation of Evil Dead Rise, so the evil has already been unleashed. The Necronomicon has already been read from. This is why I think it's important to watch Evil Dead Rise, because we go back to the beginning of that movie, because the beginning of that movie is actually the end of the movie.
The end.
The beginning was the end, yep. We go back to the lake that our friends were, if you remember Evil Dead Rise, there are three friends, a guy and his girlfriend, and then they brought their friend up. The girlfriend caught the evil. She's been possessed. She attacks them both and kills them both. After scalping her friend, she rips her hair off in one fell swoop, kills the boyfriend, cuts the girl's head off and throws it in the lake. And we're back at that lake in this film. And two fishermen, two buddies, are just out in the lake trying to fish. It's kind of a stormy day, but one has clearly gotten away from his girlfriend and they're just trying to have a good dude's day. They're fishing and they reel in. One of them reels in the severed head, and it's still scalped. You can see like the scalp is missing and it's just exposed bone. He reels it in on the fishing line.
Nikki from Obsession would be pissed about Bear having a fishing trip out.
Oh, no.
What?
No, don't do it!
There.
She'd be in the woods watching, like ready to jump in and attack the fish and attack the person for taking him. But he reels in the head. He's like, oh my god! He sees it and he drops it. He's like, hey, and he goes to run for his friend because his friend had walked off to talk to his girlfriend. By the way, you don't break bro code. If you guys are on a fishing trip, you don't answer your phone to talk to your girl. Like that's rule number one.
And he does say something for the day. He does say something there that does kind of lead back to Evil Dead Rise. Because at the very beginning, I wasn't sure. I'm like, is this the same lake? It kind of seems like it before they showed the head. Because he says something to his girlfriend, and he's like, look at. She's just concerned about, being at this lake after everything that happened. And so you're like, oh, okay. So I thought that was a cool getaway there. But yeah, homeboy is in the boat by himself while other guy is taking his phone call from Nikki.
Obsession Nikki. So once he reels in the head, it kind of spooks him. He's like, oh my God. And at that moment, that is when our possessed Deadite Jessica from Evil Dead Rise comes up out of the water, knocks him into it. And it's a really cool shot. Yeah, the cinematography in this film, I will say, and we're gonna get to one scene in particular that you're gonna know what I'm talking about. Hint, hint. When Alice is crawling away from a dinner table, we'll talk about that a little bit later. But yeah, cinematography in this film is fantastic. Anyway, he gets knocked out of the boat, and he gets dragged under, and then his friend comes back from the phone.
Well, and how he gets dragged under. So
brutal.
This movie is full of what makes Ryan go like this in a theater bingo. One of those that I didn't realize until it happened was fish hooks coming back and grabbing someone's face.
That can hurt a little bit.
He's dragged into the water.
It's like a bunch of fishing lines and hooks come out of the water and grab him, and they attach to his face like this, and he's doing everything he can to pull away from it, but they just yank him off the shore into the middle of the lake.
And I think this was a scene that was cut down to avoid an NC-17. One of the couple, there's one for sure that they had to cut down, and I'm not sure where the fuck they cut it down, but we'll get to it.
I can't wait for the unrated director's cut. Let me say that.
Okay, I'm so scared.
So his buddy comes back to be on the phone. He doesn't see him. He's not on the shore, and he looks out into the lake, and he can see his buddy just kind of struggling to get up above the water. So he sees him. He jumps in the boat, speeds to the middle of the lake to get him. He reaches over the side and grabs him to pull him up. But as he's doing that, something under the lake grabs him, and you can kind of see the blood coming up in the lake. The water's getting really red, and you can tell he's being attacked. And finally, he pulls with all his strength, and he pulls him up onto the boat, and he's like, I got you. And the camera pans down, and he has been completely separated at the waist, and his entrails are hanging out. So when his friend realizes it, he kind of pushes him off, and then he looks up, and the camera pans up, and Jessica the Deadite is right behind him. She flips the boat, knocks him out.
Another cool shot because the camera goes under with him.
Underwater. It's like underwater in the above. Like, I think that's a fantastic shot.
And my first note for this movie is this is the hottest lake scene you'll ever see. It's so fucking hot. So fucking hot.
And if you guys can't tell, Ryan means that extremely literally, because as soon as our buddy is in the water and gets kicked over, Deadite Jessica boils the lake. Like
fish are coming up.
He's trying to get out. Dead fish are coming up because the entire lake is starting to boil. You think that's the end because you're like, oh my God, she killed him. But no, the camera pans to that shore of the lake. The poor dude has got enough sense of self to swim to the edge. There's a bunch of dead fish around him, and he's, his flesh is melting because he's literally been boiled alive in this lake. And he has enough to crawl out, and he just reaches his hand forward, and that's when he dies. He breathes his last, so it does kill him. And you see his hand, and it's just kind of rotted and boiled. Deadite Jessica, the camera pans down, she walks out, and she has to just step on his hand as she's walking away. And it's like stepping on a piece of cooked rotted meat. It just slides through, and that was one that made me go. I think 2 or 3 of us in the theater were like, ugh.
Ryan Bingo, Ryan scared to shit bingo. Ryan gross out bingo is degloving. That's on there too. So
yeah, it's pretty much like a degloving. Her heel just steps on his hand, and you can just imagine the rod.
Stupid me is I'm just like, oh, he died. Okay, that part's over. We got through that, and then stupid fucking me, I see the foot coming. I'm like, God damn it.
Yep, this is going to be intense. So Jessica leaves the lake because she starts walking. Again, she's a Deadite, right? She's been summoned by the release of this dagger. She makes her way through the woods, and she makes her way up onto the road, and she looks to the right, and sure enough, there's a pair of headlights coming. And then she's just standing in the middle of the road and smiles. And then right before the headlights hit, the scene cuts to what you come to find out is about an hour before.
The cut on this though. So the impact of the car, boom, and the very next shot is a fucking huge ass in your face at a club.
Someone twerking. And it's not like, oh, it's the ass, and then it holds for a second and then moves. It's on there for like 10 seconds while she's twerking. You're just like, oh, they're really trying to take us out of this, aren't they?
Yeah.
So
I've seen some people not happy about that. It's like I chuckled, I giggled on that one.
Yeah, I mean, there's zero sexual energy in this. That's kind of another thing that I find is kind of wholesome. Maybe that's another reason I like horror movies like this.
I think you're the only one that's called Evil Dead wholesome. Oh, it just brings everyone together.
There's zero sexual energy or zero sexual tension in these films, so it's kind of nice to know that you're not. It's kind of nice to know I'm not going to have a bunch of ass and titties flying in my face.
It's a family
film.
It's a family franchise.
It's a family franchise,
especially
literally. Especially the last two, Evil Dead Burn and Evil Dead Rise, are literally family franchises.
Yeah, dude, 3. They're trying to do an intervention for the dude's sister. Like yeah, family film. I did talk to John though, and John is probably going to do a John's Jingles on Evil Dead Rise. So that's hopefully that is attached to this episode. Hopefully he gets it done by then, by the time we release this on Friday. But
fingers crossed.
Yep. But sorry, yeah, wholesome Evil Dead.
Wholesome Evil Dead. So we're back to the booty jiggling in your face, and the camera pans around, and we get to meet our protagonist family. So we get to see Benjamin, who we've already been introduced to at the beginning, right? Because he found the dagger. He's sitting there with his girlfriend Thaya, and they are talking to his brother Will.
Was it Benjamin or Joseph?
Did I say Benjamin?
Yeah, I maybe you're right and I'm wrong.
I'm sorry. Benjamin's the grandfather.
Yep.
Joseph is okay. So I'm so sorry. Benjamin's the grandfather. He's the one that was in the sect. Joseph is the grandson that's doing the research. You're right. You're right. Good catch. Joseph there with his girlfriend Thaya, and then we meet Will and Alice. Will and Alice are a married couple. You can kind of tell the marriage is it's one of those. They're trying to be cordial around each other and when they're around other people, but you know that if you guys have been in those relationships where, or you've been around people in those relationships where you can tell, like, yeah, they're kind of trying to keep the mask on, but you can tell that they don't really get along. That's exactly what's going on. Will tries to give Joseph, whose birthday they're celebrating. And by the way, this club that we're in, this restaurant club, Will and Alice own it. They're the owners, they're the proprietors. Will's trying to give his brother a gift, saying, "Hey, this is from Alice and I." And then as soon as he gives him a really nice fountain pen, and then Alice says, "Oh, and I got this for you too." And again, it's one of those things where Will is just like, "I thought we got him the pen. I thought we got him the pen. Why'd you get him a second gift?" Like, that discomfort. So they're kind of trying to work through that, but you can tell it's kind of rough around the edges. So Alice, they start an argument over that. Alice storms away. She goes outside to smoke a cigarette. Will shares with Joseph that they've been trying to get pregnant for a long time, but he doesn't feel like Alice really cares because she's smoking cigarettes and she's doing all these other things. She doesn't really seem engaged in the relationship. So they follow her outside. Will follows her outside. Joseph and Thaya follow behind pretty quickly, but Alice and Will get into a pretty serious argument. Will, you can kind of tell he's trying to be, you guys all know that guy that's, he's kind of the dick boyfriend who, he's not overtly angry or aggressive or anything like that, but he says those little things like, "This is what you do to me. Look how angry you make me. This is your fault. Why do you make me like this?"
Did this.
Yeah, none of my other exes did this before. That kind of thing. So that's kind of what this relationship is. So Alice obviously is extremely angry about it, and as she should be. Will's clearly kind of a dick, even though he doesn't see it at all. Think your typical narcissistic behavior, right? I think that's kind of the best way to put it.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, he gets in a fight. He's clearly been drinking as well. Breaks his mirror and decides, you know what? Screw this. I don't want to be here anymore. Jumps in his car and drives off. Joseph tries to stop him. He's like, "Hey, Will, let me drive. You've clearly been drinking." But Will's angry enough to where he's just like, "Just leave me alone. I want to get out of here." And the camera follows Will speeding away.
This wholesome movie, 10 minutes in, you have a verbally, possibly physically abusive husband drinking and driving. It's wholesome.
Yeah, right after a booty's in your face for a good 10 seconds. And after someone's boiled alive in a lake.
Yeah, wholesome. That's a running theme for this episode of you guys.
Running theme for the whole episode is going to be wholesome family fun. You guys know that's what we try to do with this show. Light and love. Positivity, love and light.
Yeah. There you go.
So we do see
some Deadites.
It's a Deadites, a few Deadites here and there. So we come to find out that Will speeding away is actually the car that we saw in the previous scene that hit Jessica. So he's angry. He's speeding. He's, thinking you guys have all been mad, right? You're just driving away from something angry. You're just thinking to yourself, like, that bitch is this and that bitch is that, or that asshole's this and that asshole's that. Not paying attention, he slams into Deadeye Jessica. And he has no idea she's Deadeye, right? He just thinks he hit someone. So he hits her. It makes him crash the car. So it's not just like he hits her and he stops and gets out. He hits her, he veers off the road, the car flips, tumbles down an embankment, and lands upside down. Will kind of comes to. He's okay, I guess, for lack of a better word. He's just hanging upside down in the car. And he looks over and he realizes, oh, this girl I hit, she's like embedded in the windshield, and there's a nice big cut across her neck like that, like her head is just coming off. So she looks at him, she opens her eyes and looks at him, and he's
that was a scene that showed up in my. When I closed my eyes, I saw that scene. Her head just looking at him like, "We found you."
He says, "We found you," and he's like, before that, he goes, "Just don't move, I'll help you." And he's trying to, release himself, but she just looks at him, eyes open, and kind of smiles, and she says, "We found you." And he kind of stops, and then as soon as that happens, the car, a spark happens, and the car starts on fire. And the other thing to notice too is before that happens, Jessica smiles, and then her head just kind of, what's the best way to say it? Just rips away from the rest of her body.
Yeah, it's like
it's like if someone grabbed it, right, and cut it right here, and then just pulled with all of their might, and then
you're slowly ripping off a Band-Aid.
Yeah, that's a perfect way to put it. Mm-hmm. So her head does that, falls out of the car and rolls away, and lands looking right at Will. And while this is happening, again, like we said, the car has lit up and the flames are just spreading. So obviously Will's panicking. He's trying to get out of the car. He's trying to release. And as she's staring at him, she says the words, "Kanda, Estrata."
And she's laughing. She's having a grand old time. And
Kandar! As she utters that last word, the car just completely goes up. And poor Will, the camera zooms in on him screaming and just burning to death. He does die. He burns to death in the car. And that is kind of the opening.
Credits.
Here come the credits. Evil Dead Burn.
And we'll do a lot of comparisons to this and Rise, but the credits in Evil Dead Rise are fucking
some of the best that have ever been created.
Because for those of you that don't know, it's the opening scene is actually the ending scene. We went into that a little bit, but Jessica is
racing. Can you put the credits raising as a shot right here? Check this out, guys.
Jessica literally rises from the lake in this, grandiose way, and
hair hanging down.
Mm-hmm.
And then behind her, behind the trees and the horizon, I mean, we're going to insert it right here. You guys probably saw it. The Evil Dead Rise comes up behind the trees. It's fantastic.
So good. So comparing, this one doesn't beat that.
No. That's a hard credit thing to beat.
Yeah. So then from here, so Will is dead. I don't know if they ever say how much time has passed. But
fast forward to his funeral.
Yep, they go to his funeral. Alice is getting there, and she's talking. She's French. She's from France. She has been with Will. They've had this venture together. But she's talking on the phone in French and saying, like, his family doesn't like me, this and that. And the person on the other end of the phone is saying, like, well, maybe this will bring you guys closer together. And so I didn't really know what the story was going into it. So I'm like, oh shit, we got in-law drama. Here we fucking go. So she gets to the funeral home, and it's this massive construction site is going on. And there's some really funny parts in this movie. So we get to the funeral home, and she's in sweats. She
looks like she just rolled out of bed.
Mm-hmm. And she goes to the front of the door, and she meets her mother-in-law and I guess grandmother-in-law.
Her grandmother with dementia. Yeah.
Grandmother-in-law
with dementia.
And she's in a wheelchair. She's missing a leg. I don't know if they ever explain why she's missing it, but she's missing it. And they notice that Alice has on tennis shoes and just looks very disheveled and whatnot. Clearly doesn't seem like she wants to be there. So they get her some heels from, I believe they're from Grandma, but
yeah. Well, the other thing to say too is you get the impression, because obviously Will's dad, Will's family's there. Joseph, you beat Will's dad with the dog, real cute dog. But you get the impression that they think that Alice is kind of responsible for Will's death.
Yeah, and
if she hadn't let him drive away,
and she does feel somewhat responsible too. And the teasing that this movie does, I fucking hated. It was wonderful, but I hated it because she puts on these heels and it starts rubbing right on her fucking Achilles.
Your favorite.
And they showed that close up like at least 8 times. And I'm like, God damn it. This is fucking going to come in the third act and I'm going to fucking hate it. Blah, blah, blah. So bingo. Again, here we go.
And maybe it did. I wonder if it did, Brian.
Maybe. There is some misdirection, but I don't know if that was part of it. They get to the actual funeral and this is like, I was the only one laughing in the theater, which I don't know why, because they're trying to give the eulogy and you just hear they say that they're going to stop by noon.
There's construction. There's construction happening outside the crematorium.
So that's when the ceremony is supposed to, clearly they haven't stopped because they're like, Will was a great so they have to stop and talk, and it's so funny. And you have to really latch on to the comic relief when it comes in this movie specifically, because you don't have any time to breathe.
No.
Even when you think you have time to breathe, you don't. Will's mother comes up, gives her speech about how, and it's totally guilt tripping Alice. Like, all he wanted to do is be a father, and you guys would have been great parents, this and that. And then the funeral director comes up and goes, his wife, Alice, would you like to say anything? And she just goes, oh, I didn't prepare anything. And she is getting death looks from Will's dad specifically. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
which, I mean,
like,
obviously.
My firstborn son, you're his wife. You didn't prepare any. You showed up to his funeral looking like this. You didn't. And by the way, we should add on, and we'll get into this a little bit later because it comes up in the third act, but understand that Will's parents have no idea what their relationship was like, except that they have their wedding photos, right? And their wedding tape. They look like a couple in love. They look totally fine. So that's all their parents really know. So they think Will is like this wonderful guy who's been treating Alice so good, and she shows up like this. She doesn't prepare a speech. Like, they're rightfully a little like, what the hell?
Mm-hmm. And so even this part, like the funeral, like you are on edge. And like my heart hurts because I'm just like, God, this is just so awkward. Like, I want this to be over. It's so awkward.
Is it ever?
Great performances too. And then a little bit more comedy here too, because after the ceremony, they're going to go cremate. I was going to say Joseph. No, they're going to cremate Will. And the funeral assistant, he's in his tux. He's helping out. He throws in some rap and he's just like dancing.
Well, the other thing too is right before that, he can't get the damn coffin off the stage. Oh, yeah. He's like, and they're all just sitting there like.
And I thought the body was going to fall out there. I thought it was going to
fall, like pop open.
Mm-hmm. And so he's about to incinerate Will, and he's about to Evil Dead burn him. And
I see what
there's a knock at the door, and it's his father. And his father basically demands, and he goes, "I'm not asking. I'm gonna say goodbye to my son."
Yeah,
and
I just need a moment.
Mm-hmm. And this is really the only time in the movie that you see any emotion from him in a vulnerable way, because his son died. He puts his hand on the casket and he's crying and he's about to leave, or he hears a knock at the door. He thinks it's at the door, so he goes to investigate, and then boom, there's a knock and it's from inside the coffin. So he goes up closer. There's a big jump scare, boom, on there. This was my first disappointment with the movie, is because he goes back and he sees what you presume is Will, because and all I could think of anytime they showed Will, because they only show him here and at the end, all I could think about was the opening scene from Whistle, where it's just the CGI burn dude. So it's kind of like him, but the funeral assistant comes back in and he is killed off screen. And there's blood flying everywhere. I'm like, no, it's an Evil Dead movie. Like,
well, and Will burns his father too. He like grabs his wrist or something.
Arm, yeah. Yep. And I believe there's loose rules in the Evil Dead universe. Like, obviously, you kill someone, you can make them a Deadite.
If you kill someone, you're likely to come back as a Deadite.
And then bodily fluids, if you exchange them, you become. Well, we'll get to it. I actually have a meme I got to send you later too. I got to remind you.
I'm thinking of the Evil Dead remake after Mia splits her tongue with the razor and then kisses the chick, and the chick gets infected with deaditeness.
Mm-hmm. So we can only assume that burn marks do the same. Because then you can even see it in his eyes, in Will's dad's eyes, that like he ain't home anymore.
Yeah, it's like something else is living in the.
Mm-hmm. You go to their house, and you kind of see that it's run down. It's under. It was passed down to Joseph, and he's kind of let the place go. There's a bunch of other random shit going. There's a couple interactions with his family. Like his dad says, like, there's no gas in the trimmer. So
you let this place go to shit. We give you this place. You let it go to shit like this.
Mm-hmm. And
his mom upstairs in the attic. So definitely want to talk about that. Obviously, she goes up in the attic and sees that Joseph has unearthed all of their grandfather Benjamin's stuff, and he's been studying it. He's a writer. He's been studying it. He's been writing it. She is extremely upset about this because, again, she's clearly been caretaker for her mother who has dementia. And she's like, my father, he left us. He left me to take care of your grandmother, my mother. He left his family. Like, I told you to throw all this stuff away. So she just kind of grabs everything, including the dagger, right? She, throws it all in a trash bag. She's like, get rid of this stuff, tears down the notes. And then she hands it to him and she says, throw this. She doesn't take it with her. She hands it to Joseph and says, throw this away. And then she leaves the attic.
Mm-hmm. And she's making up the bed up there and just like, why do you invite Alice? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Or you invited Alice. Like, well, yeah, he's, she's
his wife.
And you come to find out that obviously since they were married, she owns the restaurant club thing, and there's some tension there. Alice does go down into the cellar because she hears a noise. It is Will's father. And he is going into the cellar, and he has a knife, and obviously you can tell he is possessed. He starts cutting into himself. Alice finds him. He goes, don't tell my wife. So it's coming off to the family that like he's having a mental breakdown. He can't deal with this.
Yeah. We know that he's possessed as a Deadite, and he's just trying to do the self-harm. But yes, they think like he's just breaking down mentally. He can't deal with it.
Yep. And then I will let you take over on this wholesome dinner scene.
It made me think of Texas Chainsaw.
It did that. Thanksgiving. I'm just like, this is not going to be good. Yeah. You'd make an excellent dinner, Colleen. Yeah.
This is kind of where things start kicking off, right? They're at dinner. They're kind of having a tense conversation, right? Things are sort of escalating because the mother, I think her name is it Audrey? No, Susan.
Susan, yeah.
Susan. Should be Carrie. Susan is kind of trying to break the tension. Like you can tell, obviously she doesn't like Alice, but she's trying to kind of break the tension. And she says, Alice, how about the restaurant? What are you thinking of doing with the restaurant? Like it's yours now. How are you going to continue all that? Kind of just trying to talk to her about that. And Alice says as much. She's like, I'm not sure I'm going to keep the restaurant. And Edgar, who is slowly succumbing to possession, like is getting more angry, right? He just starts saying things, and he keeps reaching for the kitchen knife, and Alice keeps slapping his hand away. But eventually, he kind of loses it. And he kind of lashes out at Alice. He's like, "This is your fault. You let him get in the car and drive. You were a terrible wife to him," and just starts going on. And he's able to grab the knife, and he kind of stabs the table real quick. And at this point, the dog is noticing like something's wrong with my master, with Edgar, and the dog is next to him and starts barking at him. And again, the tension's just kind of escalating. It's a shouting match.
We cannot describe the tension here because I thought it was going to break at least 5 times before.
This was one that, to your point, where like your heart is starting to thump, like you're literally on the edge of your seat, like something's going to happen. It's just a matter of when. And I will give the director credit because it's played very well, and then it's like, oh, now he's going to do something, but he doesn't. Oh, now he's going to do something, but he doesn't. So your heart is like you're fatigued by the time he actually does. And lo and behold, he does eventually snap. You think he's going to stab Alice, but he grabs the dog by the ruff, and just shanks the dog. Just starts shanking the dog right in the neck. Yeah, they do. And this was kind of hard. You always feel it's so weird that we feel more guilty seeing animals get killed than humans.
Dude, but Obsession, the cat dies. The dog dies.
The dog dies. He shanks the hell out of this dog. I mean, he just eviscerates this thing.
And
obviously
you think it's going to be a bark of the dog that will snap and, like you said, make him stab Alice or, his wife, somebody else, not the dog, because this movie isn't going to attack the dog.
Yeah, you think the dog's probably going to live to the end, but if you remember back to the original Evil Dead 2013, the dog was actually the first casualty. Remember? He finds Grandpa's the name of the dog. He finds that Mia had beat it with a hammer and stuck it down the hole.
Oh, yeah. God damn it.
So dogs don't fare very well in the Evil Dead films.
Wholesome.
Yeah, wholesome, family, love and light, positivity. Beautiful and brave. So kills the dog. And again, they're not understanding that Edgar's like possessed. They think he's had a mental break and he is just completely snapped. So they kind of, they're able to incapacitate him, right? Because he's clearly in a rage. They incapacitate him. They put him in the car. Thaya and Joseph are going to drive him to a hospital because remember they're out in not the country, they're more maybe like the mountains, maybe like the lower hills, the foothills, the mountains. There's a lot of pine trees, I should say.
They're
around.
probably
So
like 15 minutes from a
woods.
hospital. Like they're not like miles, hours and hours away.
Yeah. So Thaya and Joseph put him in the car, drive it. They're like, we got to get him to hospital. So they start driving, and if you guys have seen the trailer for this film, you kind of have an idea of what's coming.
And that pissed me off because I'm sitting there thinking this entire time because it's coming now because you saw the trailer.
The trailer.
Yeah, we'll just get into it. I mean, you saw the headrest in her throat in the trailer, and you're like, this has got to be where it happens. How cool would that have been if you did? I feel like enough people would have seen this movie without that in the trailer. How cool would that have been? I would have never thought somebody would get stabbed with a fucking headrest.
I've never seen that before ever in any film. Nothing like that. But they're driving to the hospital. Edgar kind of comes to, and he attacks Thaya and Joseph are in the driver and passenger seat, and Edgar's in the back seat. He comes to, and he attacks the both of them, and the car drives off the road, crashes. It's not a terrible crash. It kind of just hits like a mound of dirt and stops. But what's going on inside the car? Obviously, Edgar, who's a grown man, is attacking Joseph and Thaya. He's trying to kill them both. Joseph. I'm going to call him Joseph the Coward after this part.
And how funny would it have been if they were playing that song from Grease, like in Deadpool and Wolverine, when this is going on? You better shape up.
I'm not talking now, are you?
I want to go watch Deadpool and Wolverine now. Edgar's attacking them both, and Joseph. They do keep a gun, a Glock, in the glove box. So Joseph, who's trying to push his dad off of Thaya, his girlfriend, reaches into the glove box, grabs the Glock, and points it right at Edgar. And he's like, "Stop now!" Because Edgar has taken the seatbelt and wrapped it around Thaya's neck and is like pulling because he's behind her, right? He's like pulling it and choking her. Joseph takes the gun and points it at him, and he's like, "Stop now, or I'll shoot." And Edgar just stares at him, and he leans really close to the gun and puts his head around the barrel and just stares at him. Joseph won't do it. He continues to strangle her, and instead of doing anything, instead of shooting him, instead of punching him, he kind of drops the gun and he climbs out of the sunroof. He bails. He leaves Thaya. And this is important because Thaya looks at him. She's like, "Joseph!" And he jumps out of the sunroof. And then Thaya, she kind of has a last-ditch effort. As she's fighting him, she opens the door. And she puts her hand on. Yeah, I knew this would make you squeal too.
I can't put my fingers on
hand at the door. She puts her hand around the door like this, and Edgar, not willing to let her go, grabs the door and slams it shut. And the camera zooms in on her hand. The door goes right through her fingers and severs all four of them, just
and
right there.
They all fall at different times, and the last one is just like hanging there and then falls. I'm like, that is it. It's disgusting.
It's so brutal.
What a shot!
So brutal. Yeah, hell of a shot. So Joseph, after he's climbed out of the seat, I climbed out of the sunroof. He gets down to the front of the car and he looks back in. The coward. And again, Thaya makes eye contact with him. She grabs the seat to to lean it back. Like that's her last thing. Like that'll get me flat and that'll get this off of me. So she does that. Edgar climbs on top of her and is choking her. And while he's doing that, the headrest has come off the back. He kind of grabs it and he kind of leans it up in the air like this and just shoves it. It goes right through her neck and out her mouth like this. If you guys have seen the trailer, you'll know exactly what it means, but it kills her. Kills Thaya. And Joseph is watching it happen. And he's just like, he's like, no! It's like, dude, you could have stopped this whole thing if you would just be a man and pull the trigger, but he doesn't.
Well, that's what I like about these the newer movies is that every character has depth to it. Because when you're watching this movie, you're like, oh well, Joseph is the moral. He's not drinking. He's got a steady girlfriend. He seems to treat her right. He's kind of shunned by his family, maybe because he has these morals. And then you see that happen. You're just like. And I've seen some people compare him to Ash in Evil Dead 1 because Ash is kind of a pussy in that movie, but he doesn't leave his girlfriend straight up to die.
Right. He never does. He always tries to fight and save her, and he just is unable to.
Mm-hmm. So this guy does this despicable thing, out of fear, leaves her, runs back to the house. And this was the part in the trailer where it's a good trailer because it's a one shot, and you see him running, and he's like, oh god. And then here comes Thaya into the house.
Well, there's one more piece before this happens. It cuts. Yes. Because it cuts back to the house. Alice has taken the dead dog Max into the basement, and she stumbles upon Benjamin's research, and she starts reading from some of the pages. She almost reads the words Kandar.
She said, "Fuck that."
Yeah, she says the first word. She says Kandar Estra. Nah, fuck that. And then she closes it, so she doesn't fit. So you're like, I see what you did there. She closes it, but as that happens, the possessed dog, comes back and attacks her. She's able to get away from it, but then cut back to you that Joseph arrives back home.
Joseph arrives back home, and he can't talk. He's so flustered and like
he's in shock.
And before this, Susan has been doing the dishes and loading the dishwasher in the fucking stupidest way possible with all the fucking sharp objects facing up. Maybe we're wrong. I don't know. Maybe other people. Maybe you guys load a dishwasher that way, but anyway, neither here nor there. Also in the trailer, I bitched about that before. There's a knock at the door, and it's Thea going, "Please help me, let me," because you know how Deadites can
help me, let me in, please.
Very emotionally manipulative, and. So, of course, Alice opens the door because she has no idea what the fuck's going on.
Yeah, she doesn't know. Joseph hasn't said anything. He's just like...
And then there's Thaya. She comes in. She does all the stuff from the trailer, takes out the headrest. She drinks the candle.
She says, "Cheers to your perfect family," and then drinks the lit the melted candle wax.
And there's a funny little bit here where the delusional grandma is convinced that Thaya stole money from her. So there's that running bit the whole time. It's silly. Then there's a big fight sequence. A lot of it is shown in the trailer. But this part, because obviously they expand on the dishwasher's part, Thaya goes and she is able to tackle Joseph into the dishwasher. He's stabbed with all the knives and all the utensils that are facing up in the stupid fucking manner. And she keeps pressing down on him.
There's no foreboding at all when they load the thing that way.
No, it's just, no, not at all. But that's like a Final Destination type thing. Like, why the fuck are you doing that? She jumps on top of him, and she's just, she's trash talking this and that. She's like, "Don't you love me?" This and that. And then he puts the corkscrew in her neck. And she's like, and of course, she's not dead. She starts taking it and starts taking it down her throat. Yeah. And then she's just like, "Wow, you wouldn't shoot your dad, but you'll kill me," without even a second thought, still taunting him. There's more of a fight sequence that goes on. Alice kind of attacks Thaya. But fuck me, probably the goriest kill in the movie. Joseph is able to escape the dishwasher, and because when he fell down on the dishwasher, it severed the door from the actual dishwasher. He fucking, I thought Obsession had a really bad head smashing scene. Fuck
well,
me.
there's one thing that happens in between that, because they're able to lock Thaya in the basement, and then they kind of go into the kitchen to kind of recover because Joseph's all messed up, and Susan and Alice they get her locked in the basement. when they all leave, the grandmother with dementia, Thaya comes to the basement door and she sticks her head up to like a crack in the door and she starts talking to Polly. She's like, Polly, let me out of here. I have your money. She keeps saying like she tried to steal my money. She's like, I have your money for you. And Polly, who has dementia, is just like, you promise? It's like, yeah, I've got it for you. So Polly lets Thaya back out. And that's when the fight continues, but Joseph does something.
Well, and I believe before it happens, wait.
Thaya keeps trying, because they keep saying, where's the dagger? Where's the dagger? Give us,
Is it Thaya that takes her dentures out?
Yeah, but that's a little bit, yeah. So
well,
gross.
Obviously, that's before the fucking dishwasher thing, yeah.
It's so nasty, dude.
So basically, yeah, they're going for the dagger. Meanwhile, outside is the dad and
Max
the dog.
and Edgar have come back, and they're kind of outside, just like staring. They can't get in because they barricaded the door. But it's that horrifying. Yeah, it's that horrifying. Every time you look outside, they're just there looking at you, ready for you to come out.
And Edgar still has the gun.
Yeah, he does a little something with that gun too.
He does a couple little somethings. Because everybody's looking on horrified, he takes the gun, boom, and it's a really cool shot because it's
blows out the back of his head,
and obviously he's not dead because he's a deadite, so a huge hole in the back of his head.
Does it again?
Then he goes, yeah, and then he goes another one in the mouth. So he has holes fucking everywhere.
He he does it. He angles it like this and blows the back of his head out, and then he angles it up and blows the top of his head out, and then he puts the gun to the side of his head and blows the other side of his head out.
So he's been sitting out there mangled the entire time. The fight scene happens. At some point in this, Thaya talks to the grandma again and is like,
it's so nasty, dude. Yeah.
You have something that we want. And she goes, yeah, your husband would have told you where it is. Takes out the grandma's dentures, puts it into her own mouth, and it's just so slobbery, sucks it in. Gives it back to
puts it back in her mouth.
Yeah, and goes, that should do it. Lets her go. Like,
it's so nasty.
It's so nasty. But then this is where Thaya meets her end. And as I alluded to earlier, Joseph is able to take the actual fucking door, the front, the closing door of the dishwasher, and just start slamming in her head. And he does not stop. It's 12, 13 slams, and
this must be the one they had to stop. Like 15 slams would have got an NC-17 or something.
And you see, I thought this depth was cool too, because you see Alice and she looks at him and like, because Joseph has not shown any violence whatsoever. Obviously, he couldn't even shoot his dad. He's a
timid little boy. He's a skinny twig.
Yeah, and
I don't know how beautiful Thaya is with him. Like she's a 9 out of 10. She's gorgeous.
And not now. She's not gorgeous now. But she got a facelift.
Or something like that.
Yeah, face smash. But Alice is looking at Joseph going just, feral. He's going just rabid. So clearly that anger was in there. And she starts getting flashbacks of a fight she had with Will, where they're in the restaurant and he's saying stuff like, it's your fault we can't have kids, or we're not having kids, blah, blah, blah. And earlier in the movie, she kind of lifts up her shirt and you can see, or no, maybe it's like after.
It's when they first get back to the house.
And so like Joseph kind of sees it. You're just like God damn,
burn
man.
Scar, yeah.
Burn. And so you start getting little bits and pieces on that and how that relationship was going. We can get into that a tad later. I know we're running long on this episode, but
it comes up in the bathroom scene with it comes up in the bathroom scene with her mother.
Yep. They start one of the lulls in the movie because they're trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. They're like, okay, hey, we killed the only threat. Not so much. Because now, the grandma has switched saliva with Thaya. And Susan gets her back to bed.
And she just exorcist style. Just
really creepy. And she starts telling her, like, we could have our whole family back together again. It's a family film, wholesome film.
Yeah, it's a family film. Light and love.
Yep.
Beautiful and brave.
She says, Will's on the way. We already have Edgar. We can all be together. And I believe they're on the second story, but somehow Edgar's fucking up there outside the window.
He's just staring in, and his head is all, it's mangled. He's blown out pieces of his head. Gross.
I can't talk about this, so I'm just going to let you talk about what happened.
So Deadite Polly, that's Grandma's name, is manipulating Alice to let Edgar in. Let him in. He's here. And
let Susan do that. Yeah.
Susan, excuse me. Yeah. So Susan is looking out. She sees Edgar, and Edgar, again, it's the emotional manipulation. It's like, it's me, babe. It's me. So sure enough, she opens the window and lets him in, and they share a kiss. Like, he kisses her. And what's the most disgusting kiss you guys that you've ever seen? I'm thinking the kiss between Matt Stone and Trey Parker in Basketball.
That one. I'm also thinking in Not Another Teen Movie when they're making fun of Never Been Kissed. Yeah. And the
saliva is between. That was cool.
I won't put this. I won't put that scene.
Don't do it. You guys can check it if you know what we're talking about. But they shared the most disgusting kiss because it's Edgar's mangled, bloody head with bits of brain matter and all of it's exposed, and it's like the camera zooms in to show their faces, and it's all blown out because he's shot himself 3 times, and they're kissing, and it's not just a kiss like it's like
passion.
My tongue. Here's the all of that. So he's licking all of it. It's so disgusting. But as you guys know, clearly when you share bodily fluids with a Deadite, you become a Deadite yourself. So Susan pulls away, and you can kind of see her eye just barely kind of just goes Deadite for a little bit. Like, it's like she's accepted the evil, but she's not all mangled and destroyed, right?
She's like, you haven't kissed me like that in years.
You haven't kissed me like that in years is exactly what she says to Edgar. Because the only reason the way that she let him in is he promised he wouldn't hurt anybody. He's like, I promise I won't hurt anybody. I'm just trying to get in. I just want the dagger. I just want the dagger. I don't want to hurt any of you. So after that, this gets pretty intense because now Edgar's back in the house. So Susan goes downstairs to talk to Alice and Joseph, and Edgar shows up because he's there. He comes downstairs and he attacks all of them. Now, I mentioned this earlier because this is such a wonderful piece of cinematography. But the camera, there's Alice. She hits her head or something. She goes under the dinner table, and she kind of comes to, and she's crawling away from the carnage because Susan and Joseph are possessed. Susan is still fighting with Edgar, like, because she has enough for humanity to kind of fight him off.
This was the original teaser. Was this one?
Yeah,
shot?
This is the original teaser.
What the fuck is going on? Yeah.
Alice is crawling away from this fight, and the camera is focused on Alice crawling, so it's like her face, and like you can see behind her as she's crawling away. You see the carnage of this fight happening. You see Joseph and Susan and Edgar fighting. And the reason I say this is so cool, again, if you guys can watch the trailer, check it out, because as the camera follows her, all of the things that are happening behind, like you're focused on that, but you're also focused on Alice crawling away. It's just a really cool shot, and it's a one shot. There's no camera break, so it follows her as she's army crawling out of the kitchen into the hallway and towards the living room. And behind her, Edgar and them are fighting, and they keep following her out. But it's a really, really cool shot. I'm really glad they did it because it was really well done. But in this same part, because now Alice, she's having these flashbacks, right? Because now she's seeing Joseph lose his mind. She's now seeing Edgar, this angry old man, attack everybody, and she's having flashbacks to, again, when Will was doing all the stuff to her and Will's abuse. Because Will, she had this, it shows that you were mentioning it earlier, but she lifts her shirt and there's like a burn scar on her stomach, and you're like, what is that from? And she has the flashback here where when she was having that argument with Will, he flipped out and he knocked a boiling pot off of the stove and it burned her. Like, it was significant abuse. So the rotary saw that we were talking about earlier that Edgar was kind of trying to, the trimmer that he was trying to get started, he was able to fill it with gas because he brought it up from the basement, and he attacked them with it and it got stuck into the mantle of the fireplace. So she kind of after she kind of comes to herself and realizes, like, I'm not gonna die like this. Will abuse me. I'm not gonna let the men in his family abuse me too. She kind of comes to, she grabs the rotary saw, turns it on. And this is where, the camera pans out. It's like the action shot. She's like, oh, and she's holding the thing. So she arms herself. She goes and grabs Susan. And this is where you forget that Polly, the grandmother, she's a Deadite, and she's still upstairs, and she has yet to show herself. So as Alice gets to Susan, Polly appears, and she ambushes the both of them. This is so hard to watch because she grabs Joseph has been beat almost like there's nothing he can do anymore. Edgar's just fucking Joseph up at this point. Like she's trying to get Susan upstairs. Joseph is just being beaten to death, and Joseph had the fountain pen that we told you guys at the beginning that his brother gave him. He had put it in his back pocket, and he pulls it out to try to stab Edgar, but Edgar beats him and he drops it. So Polly and Alice on the way up the stairs, Polly grabs that pen because Alice is going to stab her with it. I think she actually does get it and she stabs her in the neck. She pulls it out. She takes the pen and this is so brutal because you don't think it's going to happen. And then it does. Close up. She takes that fountain pen, inserts it into Polly's ear, and just stabs her straight into the eardrum. Deafens her because she stabs right through her eardrum. And again, it's kind of cool trick of the camera and the audio because as soon as she pushes it in, the audio of the movie just kind of goes dull, like a tinnitus. It's like
you can feel it.
You can feel it. Exactly what happened. But yeah, the pin is sticking out of her ear. She's able to push Polly off, and she tries to grab the pin and pull it out, but she's only able to pull off the top half of the pin. So the fountain head and the ink is still like stuck and sticking out of her ear. And it's like that for a while. Like she has to get Susan out. So she subdues Polly. She actually ties her to a chairlift. Those chairlifts.
It's the vine where it's like started from the bottom.
Yeah, and then you just go up the stairs.
Started from the bottom. Now we're here.
One of those. She ties Polly to one of those with the seatbelt, and she turns it on to get her away from him. And then she gets Susan into the bathroom. Now, don't forget that Susan does have a little bit of Deadite in her. She just hasn't succumbed fully to it yet. So they get into the bathroom. She's talking to Susan. She's like, poor Joseph. Joseph is somehow still alive. Edgar takes Joseph before they get upstairs. She's hiding under the stairs, and Edgar slams Joseph's head through the Harry Potter cupboard under the stairs. Slams Joseph's head through it, and Joseph has enough mind to look at her and be like, "Find the dagger." And then he pulls it back out. Anyway, back upstairs, Alice and Susan, they've gotten into the bathroom. They've kind of barricaded the wall, so Edgar can't get in. He's trying to fight his way in. And it's in here that, what's the best way to say it? Susan and Alice finally kind of have a heart-to-heart.
They hash it out.
Yeah, they hash it out. She gets a tweezer, and she does pull the rest of the pin out of her ear. And Susan is saying all these things like about Will. Like, I don't know what she says. She's like, I wish Will was here, or why weren't you a better wife to Will? She just kind of lets it go. Alice finally turns on her and says, and screams at her. She's like, your son was this. He was an abusive piece of shit. She lets her know, like, this is who your son was. And Susan's had no idea. Like, in her defense, she didn't really know Will was that
Susan's like, no, like it probably was just an accident. And like, no,
it was an accident. And he wouldn't have done it on purpose. Like, no, you did it on purpose. Mm-hmm. And making her confront this and face this is what finally lets the evil all the way out for Susan. So Alice is kind of trying to she's taking the rotary saw and she's trying to cut up through the ceiling so they can get into the attic. And sure enough, as she's doing that, Susan allows the evil to take over, and she grabs Alice, pulls her down. They have a big fight, like into the bathtub, and Alice is like climbing up the walls, and she's like hanging off the ceiling. It reminded me of what's her name in Hereditary. Remember when she's on the ceiling and she's like beating her head? She pulls Alice up and she starts choking her with the shower curtain. So Alice is like hanging from the ceiling while Susan's choking her with the shower curtain. But she's fine. She punches her in the face. She does something, and she's able to get away. Susan, before she's possessed, she does admit how much she hates. So like I said, she kind of lets the evil take over, but she does admit, Alice, I hate you. I always hated you. You were never good enough for Will. That's kind of how the thing kind of started. Anyway, like I said, Alice fends her off. She's able to get away. She does cut through the ceiling, and she's able to get up into the attic where we know the dagger's up there somewhere, right? Because she had thrown it in the trash bag. So Alice is up there. She knows that the dagger's up here somewhere. She's searching for it. Poor Joseph, who was killed by Edgar earlier, you see his hands kind of come up behind her and pull his head up, and then his ass is a Deadite now too. So this poor Alice, she's got Max the dog, Edgar, Susan, Polly, and now Joseph, the whole family are Deadites now trying to kill her and get after her. So she finally she pulls open one of the bags and all of these daggers fall out. And this is kind of a cool throwback because there's a mini version of the Kandarian dagger from Evil Dead 2, Dead by Dawn. It's like a wood-looking dagger with a point. It's got a skull on it. And you're like, oh, that's the dagger for Evil Dead. That's the one. She grabs it and she stabs Joseph in the neck with it. And then he stops and he looks at her and he's like, wrong dagger. And then he grabs her face. She grabs another dagger that has she notices that it's not even a dagger. It's like a chunk of wood with a metal blade just embedded in it. There's nothing special about it at all, but it has the word Kandar etched into it. So she grabs that one and she turns around real quick and just stabs Joseph in the face with it. And that's clearly the right one because Joseph freezes and then he just like, it's like the evil just leaves him. He just falls back dead.
It's like, thank you.
He's like, yeah, right. It's like, thank you for freeing me of this. But she's finally, she has the dagger, right? She runs to the roof because obviously Susan and Polly and Edgar are trying to break up into the attic to get her. She grabs the dagger. She runs out the window and onto the roof. And this is another cool shot from the trailer. You see Alice scrambling up the roof and you see Edgar and Susan behind just chasing her up. Scary as hell. Very freaky. So she runs up the roof. She unfortunately she goes to the chimney and Edgar swipes at her and he hits her and she actually drops the dagger. It rolls off the roof down to the patio. She jumps up to the chimney and pulls herself up, falls down the chimney, just Santa Claus style, falls all the way down the chimney. And she manages, I can't remember how she does it. I want to say she uses the what is she? Because she decapitates Susan somehow, but I can't remember how she does it. Do you remember what she did?
Doesn't she use the trimmer?
Was it the trimmer?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Because she pulled it up with her when she got into the attic. She takes the trimmer, so she's able to use that. She decapitates Susan. She wounds Edgar with it. She hits him hard enough to where it like kind of incapacitates him. Earlier in the film, too, they were going to burn the house down, so that Edgar poured gasoline all over the living room. She gets down there after she injures the both of them. She walks out and she takes a lighter, sets fire to the house. And you think, I will say, I thought the movie was over at this point. I was like, oh, set fire to the house. She killed them all. She's going to walk away with the flaming house behind her, and she's good. But no,
I kind of wish it did end there. I kind of wish it did.
Well, I can tell. I know exactly why you didn't like something that happened about 3 minutes from now. But she walks away, and then you just hear Alice like that, and she turns around, and Will's burned corpse, is standing in the doorway of the house. And I think he says, "We'll never let you go," or something like that.
Yeah.
And then he chases after her, and she takes off in a sprint. And then I'll let you take it from here because we're getting to the climax.
Yeah, and Will is a fucking CGI fire monster thing. And you compare this to the Marauder and how great that effect looked in Evil Dead Rise. Didn't do it for me on this one. I couldn't care less if Will was there.
Yeah, he's just a corpse. Like, why are you bringing him back?
Yeah, they end up having they kind of run through the construction site. They have a fight. Clearly it's the metaphor. She's trying to run away from,
the abusive husband.
Exactly. And he's hot on her tail, much like he was in life. When she finally turns to face him, so before that, we finally get our payoff with the Achilles thing. She is thrown into one of these pits in the construction site, and a fucking, I don't even know what you call it, a fucking just, spiked pipe thing just goes right through her Achilles tendon. And it was this where I got my other note, and I'm like, you know what? Alice would be damn good at surviving jigsaw traps, because she fucking she realizes the only way out is just to pull it out. And I'm glad she did that instead of like going through the tendon, because that's where I thought it was going. But she's able to confront the fiery demon version of Will, stab him with the knife, and he becomes human again. And it's very heavenly, this and that. And I forget exactly what he says, but he's just like, I'll always love you. Trying to emotionally
narcissistic manipulate. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And she stands her ground. She's like, nope, too late. And, then she ends up trying to like rip his face off and like, you know, puts it's disgusting, but they cut away pretty quick. Long story short there, Alice has survived. She's gone through this ordeal. She finds her way out to the main road at dawn.
Well, hold on, you're forgetting something, buddy.
What?
Something that happens during that fight that you don't like.
I already told you that. The Achilles thing, right?
Yeah. It's the piece of rebar.
Yeah. That's what it is. It's rebar. Yeah, and she pulls herself out of that. Gonna survive a saw trap. That's what she would do. And so she's made it out of here. Obviously, she's super fucked up. Anyone that makes it out of these movies is super fucked up.
Well, the way she finally kills Will is pretty cool too.
Yeah,
remember the jackhammer?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, because his corpse falls back in. She jackhammers, and then he just kind of, you know,
flies. And she shoves a jackhammer into his mouth. So similar to the previous films, right, where it's always a chainsaw. It's always a chainsaw, and the camera does zoom in on a chainsaw, but she doesn't grab it. She grabs a jackhammer, and then Will, at that ethereal moment where he looks like himself, she shoves the jackhammer into his mouth and turns it on, and it's just jackhammering his face, and then she stabs him with the dagger.
And Will is no more.
Will is no more. The family's finally dead.
It is. And she, I said in my notes that she and Grace from Ready or Not would probably be really good friends because they are the part of the My Husband Sucks and My In-Laws Suck Even Harder club. Because she's stumbled upon by paramedics. They get her in the blanket. You know,
arriving to the burning house, obviously.
Right. And, you know, typical horror movie fashion, you know, she's disheveled. She's in the blanket. She's asking for a cigarette. They're like, well, we're not supposed to. And they end up they're like, well, who did this to you? And she goes, my ex-husband, much like Grace does, you know, in-laws. But then the very last shot is you see her eye just very subtly kind of go eat a deadite. I have to ask you though, did you stay for both post credits?
Of course.
Okay, because I've seen people that haven't.
It's Evil Dead. You gotta.
This is where because I had looked it up before and it said there's 2 post credits. So I'm like, all right, I know to stay for 2. The first post credit scene is typical Evil Dead comedy type stuff. Because you realize that Alice never used the dagger on Polly, and I don't know if we touched on it, but she had actually severed her other leg with a piece of broken glass. That was pretty gnarly.
Yeah, she saw through it when she put her on the when she tied her to the chair. I forgot about that.
So she's crawling down the road, and this younger girl stops and is like, "Oh my God, what happened?" She goes, "They took my legs." But then, you know, this girl's wearing shorts, and she's like, "But yours'll do," and starts ripping off her leg. That's the first end credit scene.
Spreading on the deadite possession to her.
Yeah. Like, clearly that's going to happen. So, okay, there's a second one.
This one was like, I made me go, yes.
So first of all, I had like 7 people in my theater. Everyone left after the first post-credit scene. So I'm in there by myself. There's no workers. There's no nothing. So I'm like, fuck, I don't like this. We're going to get to wholesome family values here.
Yeah, family values.
I walked into this going, if I don't see Ash in either of these post-credit scenes, I'm gonna be really pissed. I will tell you, I did not see Ash, and I did not leave really pissed.
You kind of saw Ash's. Does that count?
This is because I really had to question my own.
The actress to do this was great.
Oh yeah, so I had to question my own morality because I walked out of the theater fucking psyched. So the second post-credit scene, you go back to the mortuary, and it is the funeral director is there with her probably like 8-9-year-old daughter. And you know, she's like, you know, I don't have anyone to watch you. And her daughter asks about these urns that are left over, and she goes, oh, you know, those are families unclaimed. That haven't, they're unclaimed. You know, we keep them here for a while and then get rid of them. And one of the names is Ellie from mm-hmm. And so you're like, oh fuck.
Ellie
8-year-old
Bigelow is the mother from Evil Dead
Yes.
Rise. She's the main
Yes.
Deadite from Evil Dead Rise.
Just mommy's with the maggots now.
Mommy's with the maggots now.
She appears in her lifelike form in the mirror, and she's just doing this cute little thing with the 8-year-old. The lights flicker, and then you see Deadite Ellie behind her in all of her glory, and you think it's going to end there, but in the wholesome way that Evil Dead is, she fucking snaps the 8-year-old's neck, kills her, and then goes, "Mommy's back." And I was so pumped, but then I got home and I was like, because I was talking to Katie about that, and she's like, "Oh, well," because she's not super into the Evil Dead movies, and so she's just like, "So it was good." I was like, "You know what? I wasn't crazy about the CGI at the end, but the fucking post-credit scene, I walked out of that like fist pumping. I was like, fucking right,
Next level.
But then she was like, "Well, what happened?" And then that's when I really started thinking about it. I was like, "Well, there was this 8-year-old that got murdered on screen."
You have to explain. This is what I liked.
Yeah, and but yeah. Ellie somehow back from the wood chipper. It opens up a Pandora's box of questions that I do not have the capacity to get into right now. But I was like, I was going to be so disappointed without seeing Ash, and it was something that didn't even enter my mind that Ellie could still be out there.
I see her die
in a very gruesome way.
Gruesome way.
She just fucking and the actress is great. The effects are always great. Like, I mean, we talked about it on our Evil Dead episode about how she carries that thing, and she was in Mother Mayhem episode, and it's just chef's kiss. But that is Evil Dead Burn. I'm going to go through my notes here and see if I missed anything, because I think I actually got quite a bit of them.
We nailed all the beats.
Let's see. Yeah, this was a longer episode, guys. So thank you for sticking it out. But it is well worth it.
We have a lot of passion. Yeah, we've got a lot of passion for this one.
Let's see. I said this movie needed a seatbelt. I said the beginning scene was quite the hook.
I see what you did there.
I said incredibly hot lake scene. Ryan's cover my eyes bingo is degloving tongue shit and Achilles. I said, oh yeah, when Jessica is in the road and Will's about to hit her, I said this is a lot like Passenger. A lot of Passenger 2 vibes. Yep. I said the Jessica's barely there. Hanging head is terrifying. God damn these Achilles teases.
Your favorite thing ever.
I said Alice would survive most jigsaw traps. I said Joseph makes Ash in Evil Dead 1 look like a badass.
That's true too. Such a piece of shit.
And then I said Alice and Grace are members of the My Husband Sucks but My In-Laws Suck Harder club. So those are all my notes for this movie. I'll probably think of more after we stop recording, but this one is a heavy hitter. I feel like I'll go first since Evil Dead is kind of your baby. In my rankings here, I'm going to stick with Obsession.
Okay.
And it's an easy decision because there's so many things to talk about here. But I think just the originality and Obsession and Evil Dead is great because you know what's coming, but they do it in so many different ways. So it is fresh in that. And they do a really good job on keeping adding elements to this thing. We don't know where the fuck it's going to go. That's the fun of it. But
yeah. We know the next one's a prequel. Evil Dead Wrath is a prequel.
Can't wait for that one. Obsession, just it was a judge's decision on that one. We went to the judges on that one.
To the judges
Obsession
for it.
comes out, yep, and it was a split decision. We'll put it that way. What about you? I'm dying to know. I'm dying to know.
You guys know my love for the Evil Dead franchise. I feel like the last couple weeks I talk about how much I love these films. This one was easily the goriest, probably Evil Dead that they've done so far. Just with
this might be the most gory mainstream theatrical release I've ever seen.
Yeah,
like
it doesn't have the amount of blood that like Evil Dead did, because remember the blood rain and like there's everything was, so it doesn't have like that kind of thing. But when I think of the gore on this one, I'm thinking of like the mutilation and the deaths and those kinds of things. Like I said, the cinematography in this is fantastic. The especially that one shot coming out of the kitchen is just so good. In a surprise move, Ryan, I'm actually going to stick with Obsession as well. And here's why. Let me. I know. Call the judges. I know. Calling all cars. Raised from the dead. Here's
unanimous. Why. Jeez.
This also came down to it for me, because this is not speaking to how Evil Dead is as a film. I think we've made it very clear how good this film is. This is speaking to just how perfect of a movie Obsession is. I can't, like, there's nothing about. If I had to compare gripes for the films, I have less gripes with Obsession. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. The things that I have against Evil Dead Burn, they're not the movie's fantastic. I feel like some of the beats the director's trying to play is like, oh, this is going to kind of be a break in the horror. We're going to make it funny. So a perfect example is when they're fighting Thaya, and it's like an intense scene, and then the camera switches to Polly going up the thing, and she just goes, "I told you she tried to take your money," and then keeps going up. It's like, yeah, it's funny, but it's like you don't have to throw. That's not the place to throw that beat. And I think the director, as talented as he is, he missed a few of the things that keep the momentum and the consistency and the horror like front and center, or he tried to override them with like something that's funny or like a little quirk or something that's going to make you go, oh yeah. And when you have too much of that, or when it's not executed perfectly, it sort of takes away from the collective whole. Obsession just did not have those things. Obsession, the strength of it came from a director no one knows, right? The strength of the story. It's a small contained thing, and there's just not a single thing about Obsession that I can really think that's like, oh, that didn't work, or that was too weird. Like, it's just every part of it is perfect, and so many parts of this thing is perfect. I mean, if Obsession is a 10, this is a 9.5, right?
Yeah, it's
the movie is fantastic, but Obsession is just, it's such a juggernaut, and it's such a perfect horror film that it's just going to be hard to unseat, man. It's really going to be hard to unseat.
If this one wasn't going to beat it for you, fuck, we're in for one.
We'll look at Resident Evil. Zach Kreger has a strong history. We'll see. The Ice Cream Man.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe there's one out there that we don't even have on our radar. Maybe there's a Sinister out there. Maybe there's a.
I will say this too, just as another one, and I know we've gone really long on this, guys. We're going to cut this off soon, but I note. The last 4 or 5 weeks, 4 or 5 episodes, I've talked about how these horror films are so good and they're made so modestly. Obsession had a $750,000 budget. It's made $250 million. Evil Dead Burn, I remember seeing the news on Sunday, and they're like, latest Evil Dead is a flop. It's like, they made this film for $20 million.
Which is peanuts.
With peanuts, and they're like, it flopped. It only made $28 million. Like, you guys don't understand. It made back its budget and then some. Like,
it's still going.
In one weekend, and it's still going. So you have to. This is one of those. Again, it's one of those that I get to say. Critics, you can kind of go fuck yourselves, because you guys aren't. You're calling something a flop because it didn't make $600 million, but they made this for $20 million. So in one weekend, it's already not a flop. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
it's just. It makes me really happy that they're doing that in cinema, that filmmakers are allowed to do this. They're making these movies for so little, because that's what gives them the ability to take chances and take risks, because they only need to make $20 million and it's profitable. You know what I mean? So I love to see that in cinema, and it gives me more hope that like movies are coming back. You know what I mean?
They really are. This with a vengeance. The last couple months for sure. And just, we've hit on Obsession a lot. This episode's coming out on Friday. So it is streaming on Peacock now. Go watch it on Peacock. Check out what we had to say about it. I'll probably throw John's jingles of Obsession onto our socials on Friday.
It's just too good. We've got to upload those to Spotify at some point.
Oh yeah, bangers. Yeah, John wins a Grammy. Hey,
John wins a Grammy. The winner is John Shingles.
Yeah, there you go. And just one last thing on Evil Dead Burn, and you talking about the director and stuff. The Ellie post-credit scene was actually put in by the producers. The director
Love
had
it.
nothing to do with it. So
See, I love that kind of thing because it tells me the whole team is involved in the film. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're like, because even the director came out and he's like, yeah, I don't know where they're going with on that. And Evil Dead, Sam Raimi has given the reins to other directors. And I know this director also did Infested, which I know you love. But speaking of movies we love, very quickly, recommendation this week.
I've been talking about the whole episode. If you guys haven't watched Evil Dead Rise, particularly, you got to go watch Evil Dead Rise. Like I said, I watched both Evil Dead and Evil Dead Rise building up to this one. Evil Dead Rise, it's so, again, just like the other Evil Dead movies, it's perfect. It's so good. If this movie was Evil Dead Rise, I would say Evil Dead Rise beats Obsession because it's that good. But yeah, you guys watch Evil Dead Rise. I don't know what else to say. We've been talking about the things that happen. Ellie Bixler is the main antagonist in that one, and obviously she shows up in this post-credit scene. But Evil Dead Rise, I'll say it again, Evil Dead Rise. You just got to go watch it.
And I'm going to go a different route. I talked to you about not seeing Ash in this one was supposed to piss me off. So my recommendation is another Bruce Campbell movie, Bubba Hotep.
Bubba Hotep!
Yeah.
Bubba Hotep. Bubba Hotep.
It sounds ridiculous on paper. It's
so good.
Elvis in a retirement home fighting off a mummy curse. So
it's so good, man. Bruce
Campbell, dude. Bruce Campbell in his prime. Go see that one. I don't know. I'm sure it's on some streaming service.
It's definitely on, like, yeah.
So
I think it was on the Sci-Fi Channel back when it aired.
So then, is it Rise or Burn for you?
Rise.
Yep, I figured it'd be Rise. I think I'm leaning more Burn. Just probably because I didn't see Rise in the theater, and I think that is not its fault. Obviously, I feel like I would have had a better experience with it. But guys, thank you for sticking it out with us through this one. Long one, I know.
A lot of passion for these films. A lot of passion.
Yep. Check out our Evil Dead episode. That's another long one too. But can't wait to see you guys. We're hoping to have something fun for you next week, since there is not a good theatrical
got a little surprise. We got a little surprise brewing for you guys.
Yep. And yeah, you guys keep watching scary movies. We'll be back after that with our next release and see if anything on this fucking earth can beat Obsession.
Juggernaut.
Go watch that on Friday on Peacock. Go for it. Chris, I love you, buddy.
Love you, my guy.
Next time.
Welcome to the cipher, where the screams collide, where the blood runs colder and the shadows slide. Each week